I've just recently followed this new guy on YouTube. He's called Shaun Attwood, and I've decided I'll do a backstory on him. He's a very interesting character. Let me give you some background on the guy. I think now he's round about my age. Back in his heyday, and I call this the heyday for a good reason, he was a bit of a wide boy. He was originally from a place called Widnes, which is a chemical sort of town in England. And he's quite astute, very clever, but he got involved in the ecstasy drug scene and decided that he could make a lot of money from it. And cut long story short, when it died off, the ecstasy drug scene in the UK and all over Europe, he decided he'd take that scene to Arizona, and he made himself rather a lot of money. As I said, he's a fascinating character. Don't judge what he's done in the past by what he's doing now. A person can change, and that's the nature of this video, that we can all change. We've all done some things that we're not happy with in life. I've got involved with the wrong side of the law when I was a teenager in Australia. I've done things that I'm not proud of. And Shaun's past life is something that he now talks about. And he travels to different schools and he talks about and advising children not to get involved with that side of life and explains where it can lead. So he's doing everything he can to readdress the balance. But how did he survive in one of the toughest prisons in Arizona, where the Mexican cartels have their gangs? I think it was really because he was just light. But there was this instance when there was a police raid on his house, and he was able to protect all those that were involved in the drug activity, including this really, really hard Mexican guy who just happened to be the boss of a very, very influential drug gang in that area. And so that when he went to prison, I think they protected him. They remembered that he didn't give them up when the police raided his house, and so they protected him. So I think for 2 years he was in this really, really difficult prison where the death rate was the highest in the USA. And then he was moved to a correctional institution and served the rest of his 9 years. Now, as I said, he was known as a bit of a wide boy, and at one time he thought he got away with his drug activities, but he didn't realise that in Arizona they can keep things on record for 7 years and you don't have to be caught with the drugs necessarily. That you can still be arrested down the line if they've got the evidence that you were a party to drug activity and dealing, and that is what happened. So at the point where he met this girl and fell in love, and she said, I want you to change your ways because, you know, this is no good. He thought he got away with it. You know, he thought, oh, look at that. I've amassed 2 million and I've got away with it. But he was wrong, because he hadn't taken into consideration the laws of that particular part of the United States. But he is a fascinating character. There's no doubt about it. This is interesting. What drove an English millionaire stockbroker to risk his fortune, freedom and family to sell Class A drugs in a foreign country on an epic scale? Epic scale is an understatement. He starts off with 1,000 ecstasy pills that he's getting from his dealer. He's very astute. He decides to cut out the middleman and go straight to Holland. Then he gets 5,000 at a time, and then he ups that eventually to 40,000 for every shipment. And he's got people, you know, running backwards and forwards from America to Holland. He can't leave. He's got a fake ID, so he can't be travelling through customs, so he's more or less where he is. And to this day, he can't actually return to the United States. That's how serious they've took this. But he's done his time. 9 or 10 or 11 years. He's done his time. And he's now using it as an experience. So he started this channel here. And he's up to 322,000 subscribers. He interviews everybody. Now, he's turned into now an activist. He calls himself Shaun Attwood, London-based activist. And he's interviewed everybody over the Prince Andrew situation. He's interviewed David Icke. He's interviewed Mark Duggan, who defected to Russia. He's in exile now. Mark Duggan can't return to the United States. That means he can't see his family. And that's quite sad. But Mark Duggan has realised that to stay alive, he has to be in Russia. Because of what he knows, or what he might have. But Shaun Attwood is also an author now. He's written, I think, 4 books. Interesting character, really is. 4 books. And from his experience of being inside one of the most dangerous prisons in the world, he's also written about that. And he's going to be writing about a lot of the Mexican drug cartel gangs, because he has information on that. And he has people that are quite happy to sit before the camera and tell him, give him detailed accounts. So he's now going after the global elite. Now, I wish him luck with that. I mean, he's probably going to go a step too far. I really don't think that he's going to be able to uncover. I mean, I wish him all the best, naturally, because I'm a truth seeker, and for me it's a case of no matter what they've done, I want that truth to be known. And if Shaun Attwood has now turned his life round and become a crusader of this truth, no matter where it is, no matter what station it is in life, if he's still out to get that truth, then I wish him luck for that. And he is going to need a lot of luck, because he will come up against the hard hitters, those that are prepared to kill to keep secrets. But he's determined. I'm just going to give you a few ideas of... I think he's got about 90, maybe 100 videos now on Prince Andrew. I think he's definitely the leading authority. He's quite fearless now. I mean, naturally he would be fearless if he's the kind of person that has run so close to the wind and evaded the law and broken the law in his younger days and always been one step ahead of the law. So he's very fearless about what he's doing now. And what he's doing now is eventually probably going to get him shut down. I really don't think they'll just allow him to keep digging and digging and digging without them coming after him. Yeah, here's his true crime series. Interesting character, as I said. Shaun Attwood. Yeah, he's done a few. I think he's done a few interviews on normal television as well about his life and how he's turned it around. Let's just click on here. There might be a bit of a delay. Here we go. He's determined. Absolutely determined. I mean, he said recently that someone has to be protecting Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, I'm sure that is true. I'm sure that she's staying in some billionaire's property. So we'll never get to know about that. But he's now not just an activist. He's become determined to get to the roots and the truth of all the deeply entrenched things that I've spoken about in the past. about who killed Diana Spencer, who killed JFK. And I will now tie it all up with what I believe or where it's going. I think somebody wants us to know the truth of these matters. Somebody wants to uncover the corruption. But there's also a lot that don't. A lot of people would like all this to still be in a veil, to keep the veil over us so that we can't peek past the veil and see the true extent of the corruption. But my hat's off anyway to Shaun for turning his life around. And it just goes to show that if you're determined to turn your life around because of what you've done in the past, and knowing that you can't continue to lead your life in that way, then it's a good thing that you've got people who love you, who are only too willing to help you along the way when you come out of a difficult situation. And in Shaun's case, I'm talking about his mother and father. They would have been only too happy to have their boy back and stay with them until he got himself back on his feet. And I think that and the love of a new girlfriend of his were the main factors of why he didn't return to a life of crime and continue with new adventures revolving around crime. Because I think he was offered by some former inmates and criminal gangs to get involved with cocaine smuggling as soon as he got out. And he just turned around and said, no, I'm not going down that route again. That's me, I'm out. And I think really it was because he just didn't want to disappoint his mum and dad again. His mum and dad were prepared to forgive him. And if you're forgiven for something that's quite bad and heinous, and you then throw that forgiveness back in that person's face, then you can't expect to be forgiven again. I think Shaun's just realised that. I think he's grown up, hasn't he, in the time that he spent in that prison. And he suddenly realised that true values in life are from those closest to you. They're the ones that never betray you. And I just find his story absolutely fascinating, because he is a fascinating character. He's done a lot more with his life than I've done with mine. I haven't got involved with half the stuff he's done. But there you go. You could say that if you want to put a biblical slant on it, and we could do at this stage, then you can look at Saul of Tarsus, can't you, who persecuted the Christians, who wasn't a very nice person, but then changed. And I think that if we do change, and it's genuine sorrow, and we're trying to make a difference now with our new life, I think we shouldn't hold it against that person. I know you can be judged on your past, most definitely. You know, what you've done in your life you can be judged for, and that can sometimes stop you from going forward in life, because people can remind you of what you used to be, in this case, or in Shaun's case, millionaire stockbroker who got involved in the import of ecstasy. But that's what he was, and that's not who he is now. You see what I'm saying here? I don't like things I've done in my life in the past. There's Shaun's past. I have a past. I got involved with the police, and I had a record at 14, a police record at 14, for the things that I did in Australia. Not on the same scale as Shaun, admittedly, but it's still a similar thing, but smaller scale. And now look at him. He's crusading now. He's a activist wanting to get all the answers to all this. Well, I wish him luck, because he's going to need it. He's going to need more than luck. He's going to need millionaire and billionaire friends who are going to help him along the way and drop little bits of tidbits of information, because that's the only way he's going to get this lot brought down. Yeah, very interesting character is Shaun. Very interesting. And I'm glad I'm following him. Thank you.